Do you want to finally write your book or get that book you've written published? This is the podcast with expert Lucy McCarraher. Here we go. Have you ever wanted to do something different with your life? This podcast will offer you many ways to do just that. Know, like, and trust. Isn't it time you subscribe? Hey, I'm Steve Sapato, and you're listening to the Know, Like, and Trust podcast. We've already given you an introduction, but I want to introduce you to Lucy McCarraher, and she's going to absolutely tell us how having a book and using Book Magic AI will absolutely help us grow our business. Right, Lucy?
You're absolutely right, Steve. Yes, thank you for having me.
Cool, my pleasure. And Lucy, you're not in America, are you?
I'm not. No, I'm in the UK. I'm in Norfolk, in England, in a little village.
In a little village. I'm in a little village too. It's called Sebring here in Florida in the United States. Yeah. But you know what's interesting is I say this all the time, but it still always amazes me, somebody my age, we can talk to England now, just like this. We just zoom in, we're clicked in, we've got this. And it used to be you have to make phone calls, you have to set up relays, and it was, what a mess, and it was expensive. Now, look at what we have. And this is only the beginning because AI is changing everything, right, Lucy?
It is, absolutely. Yes. Amazing what it can do now.
So tell us a little bit about Lucy is the expert on how we're going to grow our business. So Lucy, share with us what you have and how it's going to help us.
Well, I'll give you a little bit of history. About 14 years ago, my business partner, Joe Gregory, and I were working together in, actually his publishing company then, and it was a publishing company that served entrepreneurs and experts and coaches and consultants for publishing books that built their business. But it was a traditional business model. And it didn't really seem to be working for either side terribly well because those entrepreneurs, those authors really wanted, they didn't really want to sell loads of copies of books, or that wasn't the point of their book. It was all about using their book as a marketing tool much as anything. So getting their book out to prospects, clients, partners, the media, all the people who they wanted to become more visible with and grow their business and their income. And their book was an ideal way of doing this, providing a massive amount of value. And as I'm sure you would agree, Steve, a book is a brilliant way to get people to know, like, and trust you.
Yeah.
Because when they read it, they are spending several hours listening to your voice in their head or on speakers or whatever. So anyway, we started Rethink Press, which was a different business model. It's a hybrid publisher, which means that the author pays for a publishing package to get their book published, but then they don't have to. Neither side is under any obligation to sell a certain number of books. So we are not the gatekeeper to who can get published, unlike the traditional publishers who say, yeah, we want your book, or no, we don't. And so we started this business and it just took off. And, we found that entrepreneurs really appreciated this service where they could take control of their books. And it was a book that would build their brand, not our brand as the publisher, but their brand as their business. And then, we gave them lots of marketing advice on how to use their book, which is essentially give books away. Don't worry about selling copies, because when you get a book into the hand,
give it away.
Give it away. And that sounds counterintuitive to some people when they've spent a lot of time writing a book and they think, I've done this, I need to sell it. But actually, what you are selling is you, your business, your process, your value. And a book goes out there. We always call it your undercover sales agent because it sells you without selling you. It's all about value. It's all about what you do. It's not about testimonials. It's about case studies, and it's about your story. And that's why people get to know and like you. So it's, that's the sort of book that we publish. But we also realized during that period, while we were setting up Rethink Press, that most of our authors, of course, they're brilliant at what they do, but they are not experienced writers, most of them. They are not, many times authors. Their book will be their first book and possibly their one and only book. So we set up a coaching team as well to help people get their books planned and written and positioned to the right market.
And I'm going to interrupt you here because if you're out there listening to this podcast and you have a book in your head that you want to write. Maybe you've already got one written. It's really important for you to understand there's a purpose and a method for how you need to write a book, depending on what you're wanting out of it. Right, Lucy? And that's important. The people don't real they go, I'm just going to write a book. Well, that's great, but nobody wants to read your book unless there's something in it for them. Now, if you're a different, if you're writing for fiction, I guess it is, where you're, end of the world stories or romance novels, that's different. That's for entertainment. But what you're writing for is yourself, your notoriety, your brand. And that's important that you start to understand that just writing the book isn't good enough. And you might have to completely rewrite your book in order to reach the audience that you're looking to reach. Right, Lucy?
Absolutely, that's exactly spot on, and that's the process that we develop, not just in the publishing, but in the writing, in positioning your book to your market, in planning your book out. So your any model or framework that you take your clients through your client journey is part of your book, so people can go through your book, understand exactly what you do and how valuable and what great outcomes you get. And then their response, then what you want them to do is to come back to you and say, I've read the information you've given me. Now I want implementation. I want to work with you. I want to pay for your higher level services. And that is the value of the book. So when you sell a book on Amazon, you might get $2 for it. When you get a book when you get a reader who comes back and says, I want to work with you, you might get $2,000 or $20,000 or $200,000, depending what you're selling and what you're charging.
That's right. And it is important for everyone who's listening to understand that you writing a book isn't going to put any money in your pocket. I mean, that's what people have told me for the last 10 years. I want to write a book and I want to make a lot of money. The answer to that is no. Nobody today. Now, if you get on the New York Times bestseller list and they contract you out and pay you $20,000, that's different. But for 99.9% of all of us who are out there writing, there's no money in the book, none. So when people say, like I just had a friend of mine, and they said, hey, we're going to be in a collaborative book with, and then they gave the name of this big time author. And I went, well, how much did that cost you? And they went, it was only $12,000. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. So you get to brag that you wrote a chapter in a book by XYZ. And the answer is that's not going to put a dime in your pocket. Matter of fact, it's not going to put a dime in anybody's pocket. One chapter isn't going to do it. Now, I know there are people who want to get that chapter out, but you'd have to tear that chapter apart and republish it in so many places. It's important that when Lucy starts to talk to you, she's the expert in helping you create a book that's going to make you money, grow your business, and build your brand. So, Lucy, how does AI fit into this?
So we moved from coaching authors with human coaches, and I'm sort of, as a mentor, I've taken well over 1,000 entrepreneur authors through this process. Wow. So I'm very, very well aware of what it takes to write a book and the sticking points and how, you go on an emotional journey when you write a book, you go up and down, and, you need to be aware of that. So then it suddenly seemed to me when AI kind of came onto the scene that actually we could create an app which took people through so they wouldn't have to pay a lot of money to an individual coach or join a group writing program, which might not last as long as it takes them to write their book. But if we put it all into an app and made the AI the coach, told it what I teach people, took everybody through the process, the step-by-step process, but also offered support and ideas and structure and ideas for titles and subtitles and interacted with them. But I have to say, it's not there to write the book for you. You have to write your own book because apart from anything else, apart from copyright issues and, the whole thing that AI doesn't always get it right and that can be dangerous. Yeah. But basically, what you're writing about, the content of your book is what's in your head. It's your experience, your expertise, your case studies, your clients, and AI doesn't know that. It can go out there and find all sorts of examples for you and ideas, out there. It can access anything on the net.
So how many people listening right now, how many of you either have a book written, want to write a book, or have tried AI? So you said, hey, because they say, if you buy this program, AI will write your book in 30 seconds. And, some people do that. But what we're talking about here and what Lucy is the expert at is getting you recognized as the know, like, and trust expert in your niche. And the only way you do that, I've written 3 books with AI, haven't published any of them because what I know is if people want to get to know Steve better, it has to be in Steve's voice. So even though it's got the basics out there, I'm going back through and rewriting almost all of it. Now, it's making it easier because it's given me the outline or it's given me this structure and it's making it easier. So instead of taking 3 years to write a book that I really want, it's going to take me 3 or 4 months to write a book if I stick with it and really create the voice that's Steve Sapato. Right? When I say, hey, go out and read my book, The 20 on relationships and how to find the next love of your life. I said, I made it into an audiobook to make it easier for you so that you could listen to that. But the answer is then you hear Steve Sapato in both of those books, right? And if I let AI just put it out there, you don't get to know me. You may not even like the person that AI has put out. So understand when Lucy says AI is there to help you, AI put you out there. You have to be the doctor that fixes that patient called your book so that it sounds like you, right, Lucy?
That is an absolutely great way of putting that. I'm going to steal that, the doctor and the patient bit. That's brilliant. Yeah, exactly. It really has to sound like your voice. And if we've all read stuff written by AI, and it has that superficial look of being very sophisticated and well written and smart, but actually it's just generic. It uses the same words over again. It's repetitious. It's very surface level. And as you say, it is not your voice, which is really, really key. So, I mean, the process that I take people through is first to position your book, to get very clear on your market. So who is your ideal client? And then write to that single person.
And I'm going to pause here. Most people don't write a book. Most people, they don't start off writing a book because they want to get a client. They start off writing a book because they say, hey, it's all about me. I can't tell you how many people want to be speakers because they go, I wrote this fabulous book and I want to share it with the world. And I go, okay, tell me about the book. And then they tell me about them. And I go, okay, let's back up because I don't care about you, right? I care about what you're trying to share with the world. I go, so tell me again what you're trying to share. Well, that's what I'm trying to tell you because I went through this. I lived through this. And you're like, I appreciate that. But if you ever sat with anybody who only talks about themselves, you know how boring that is. So it's important that you start to understand, why are you really writing it? Who do you want to reach? When we talk about ideal clients, you say, I want to help everybody. No, you're not going to help everybody. But we want you to find that ideal person. You say, if I sat across the table from 10 people and one of them I connected with perfectly, what would that person say, do? What would they ask about you? What would they need to find out from you to help their life? And when you can do that, then Lucy can help you structure that in because she's the expert in helping you structure your knowledge. Right, Lucy?
Absolutely. Yes. So, I mean, our first step we call the 3 Ps of position. Person, define your ideal client and write your book to that one person, not everybody out there, but talk to one person and then your voice will come across. And then the second P of position is pain. What is the problem they have when they come looking for your book or your services? And finally, the third P is promise. What are you promising to get them out of their pain to a better place? And that is both your book, and you know what it is because it's the services you're providing right now that your market is buying from you. And that's the subject of your book. It is not about coming up with some amazing different idea. It is about writing about what you do. You know it.
So how do they get hold of you? Where do they find you, Lucy?
So you can go to https, whatever, bookmagic.ai. It's
Wait,
very
repeat that.
Bookmagic, all one word, .ai.
Okay.
That is the website. That is the app, and you can try it out for free. You can try the positioning bit that I've just described, the 3 Ps of position, and go through something we call the values exercise, because I think it's really important when you write a book to start with working out what your values are and what values you're going to be sharing in your book. And then you do the positioning. And after that, the app will take you through the detailed planning process that's really important. Too many people, I think, when they start a book, they jump in.
Okay, wait, this is still free?
No, the planning bit is
Okay,
where
all
you
right.
start to pay. So the values and the positioning and sort of information is free. Then you need to take out a subscription, and there are 3 levels of subscription. So it's really not expensive.
Okay, and I'm gonna pause here again. Every one of you listening knows that all of the professionals, I don't care what profession it's in, acting, singing, sports, you name it, whatever profession, all have a coach, okay? You need a coach if you're going to excel. People think, oh, I can do this on my own. I have people all the time saying, Steve, I got the basics for you. I'll go out and become a speaker on my own. They don't want to pay the fee. Okay, great. And you know what? When I check back with them 2 years later, I say, how's your speaking career going? And they go, oh, I gave it up. Yeah, because it takes a coach to get you where you want to go. Lucy is the expert who can be your coach. So she's going to give you a basic foundation. Here's the plan. Now let's talk about what it takes to get you there, right, Lucy?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So there is an AI version of me in the app. Sounds slightly strange, but you don't have to
Probably
have.
not as attractive either. So that's,
Well, who knows?
See, I got her on that one, didn't I? Yeah.
There are also other coaches and other voices that you can choose from, but basically they're saying the same thing. It is basically my experience and my knowledge that they're giving you through the coach. There's lots of little videos, if you think, oh, I'm not quite sure about that, I need to ask a bit further. But also the AI is brilliant because you set up your ideal client avatar, and then you can ask it questions like, what else do you want to know on this subject? Have I left something out here? Tell me a subject that I haven't covered that you'd like to see in this book.
And I will ask again of people listening, how many of you know how to use AI? I'd say almost none of us. Now, there's a few experts out there. Obviously, Lucy's an expert on how to use it in terms of writing your book, getting the responses you want. But most of us are out there struggling with, I tried to do, I remember 2 years ago or something like that. Somebody said you can make photographs with this or images with this. And I wanted a perfect image of this. I don't care what I wrote, it came up with stuff and it was nowhere near what I wanted. Then when I started to put it into my book stuff, AI said, well, do you want this? You want it to look like this? And I went, no, no. There has to be a methodology for you writing to AI that helps you get what you want out of it. Again, the coach that you want is Lucy. So please go to her website. Lucy, they go to your website. Is there a number or an email there they can contact you?
If you sign up to Book Magic AI, you can then join the Facebook group, the Book Magic community, and I am in there all the time. I'm answering any questions anybody's got about writing. Our tech director, Jonathan, will answer any questions about the app itself, about the tech. We love new ideas that you might have for what it could also do. But basically, it's pre-prompted. So if you go into, let's say, ChatGPT, it will do anything for you, but it's not set up to write books. You have to discover how to make it help you. You have to learn how to prompt it. In Book Magic AI, all the prompting has been done. All the AI is focused on helping you write your book. That's what it's there for. So it's easy for you. You just have to, the questions are obvious, anything you want, and it will understand. And the more you tell it, it asks you a lot of questions to begin with about you and your business and your ideal client. The more you tell it and feed it in Book Magic, the more it will be able to help you and come up with great ideas. So, and it does things like, when you get to the other end, it will design a cover for you for your book. And then it will also promote your book and turn what you've written in your book into, say, LinkedIn articles or blog posts or social media posts, and it will post them all for you. You can set up a schedule and it will do all that. So it's a very, very clever app.
Here's what I want you folks listening to understand. What she just said should blow you away. What she just offered to you the top should be popping off your head, because it's one thing. You go to some of these places and they go, hey, I'll write your book and I'll publish it for you. I don't know what they charge, $10,000, right? They go, I'll do that for you. Sometimes it's only $5,000. Hey, I'll help you write your book. We'll get it all done in 3 hours. Great. Now what? What do I do with it now? Because first of all, it's in the computer. It's not published books that you carry around with you, that you got in your hand. And I don't know that you want a published book unless you're going to be handing it out at stuff or giving it away for promotions. But what's important about that is you have to be visible. Most of us say, well, I think I'll post on Facebook. Post every freaking day on Facebook, and you're going to sell 2 copies a month, maybe if you're lucky, right? You're not, and again, if you've got it published on Amazon, you're only making, I think I made $3.40 on my last copy that sold. That's no money. How many would you have to sell to make a living doing that? So what she just said is that what her company can do is help you promote it, move it around, put it on blast, and get it out to the people who need to find you and your book, right, Lucy?
Absolutely. That is what we are there for Book Magic. It is about, I mean, what happens is when you've got your book out there and you get it into the right people's hands, magic happens. It really does. We have so many authors who will come back to us. That's why we call it that. I've used the word book magic for years to say this is. Authors come back to us and say we always have a conversation that starts, oh my goodness, you'll never guess what happened. And something incredible's happened. They've got an amazing client or a speaking gig, or they're in the media, or they've been invited onto a committee. And it's always because of the book. It got into the right hands. I sent it to somebody I've admired for years, and they came back to me. And a book is it's a special format. It's like it's classic. It's been going for hundreds of years, and yet it is completely modern at the same time. And if your name is on the front of a good book, it just says expert. This person knows what they're talking about. If your book is up on Amazon, that's where people go looking for experts. The media go looking for experts. But it's got to be a decent book. It can't be any old rubbish. This is what Book Magic does. It helps you write that excellent book that will build your business.
And it's important that you understand. Now, my book, The 20, has been out on Amazon since 2010, right? If you went and looked up The 20 on Amazon right now, you wouldn't find it. And I was like, I went like, I don't understand why my book, The 20, doesn't pop up. It doesn't. I tell people all the time, unless you've got a link to my book on Amazon, a link from me or a link from someplace, you won't find my book. So I tell people all the time, you look it up by author, look up author Steve Sapato. And then they go, oh, there's a list of your 5 books. I go, I know, that's weird. Because if I look up another book, there'll be 14, 15 books called The 20. It's one of those things where when you work with Lucy, she will show you how that every time it posts out, there's a link to go to your book. Every time this happens, there's a link to go to your website or your book. Every time, and you need to make this happen. Lucy, and we're about to wrap this up, unfortunately. I'm having a great time. You can tell we all get excited. I get real excited about stuff that really fires me up because this program can help so many people. And Lucy's the expert who can teach you how to use this process to make your book work for you. And that's why we're here. Make the book work for you. Not just put out a book, not just say, hey, look, I got a book over here. Look, I got another book. We don't care, right? I had people in all my networking groups when I was back in Sacramento who always came to these big networking groups and they say, what do you do? And they go, oh, I'm an author. I've got a best-selling book. Nobody cared. Nobody cared about that, right? It's what do you offer? What does your book? Hey, I have a way to find super wealth. Really? Yep, it's in my book. Well, that's different, right? Than I wrote a book. So it's important that you understand how the book can work for you, right? And make it work for your business. Lucy, a couple more seconds to put up some more information for first again. How do they contact you?
So go to bookmagic.ai and check it out, see what's there. You can, as I say, you can do the first part of this work for free, position your book, find out who your ideal client is, their pain and their promise, and write your introduction. That's all there for free. And then we've got 3 levels of monthly subscription, really, really cheap. So much cheaper than using a coach like me. I'm sorry, I charge money for my services.
Well, we charge big money for our services directly. That's why I tell people all the time, you want to get my videos, you want to get my audios, you want to get my books. That's the good way to enter into any, like you want to be a speaker. I got 3 ebook for speaking. That's a good way to get introduced. And when you're ready for the next level, that's when you reach out to Lucy and I. Lucy is the expert on helping you promote your book, move your book through, getting the next book, because hopefully you aren't going to stop with one, getting your next book ready to produce even more success for your business than what you're getting today. Lucy, I appreciate you being on the show today. This has been phenomenal. It went by too fast, and we have a lot to share, and we have a lot of energy, and that's really cool. So, folks, you can write to me at steve@stevesapato.com. But first I want you to do is click subscribe to the Know, Like, and Trust podcast. Subscribe so you get more information about how everything can help you, whether you're a speaker, right? Whether you're an author, whether you're just running a small business, a book changes how people look at you and think about you. You're suddenly the expert. I don't know why every realtor on the face of the earth doesn't have a book, because you put it out at your open houses, or you go to places and you go, hey, who wants a free book about real estate? Now, if there's 30 people there, maybe 2 will want it, but that's 2 who didn't know who you were before, and now you're the expert who wrote a book about real estate. Nobody else is doing that. So get with Lucy, and Lucy, you can get to hold Lucy at bookmagic.ai. And folks, thanks a lot for tuning in today. My time is up, and I sure appreciate you being here. Hope you have a blessed day. Are you single and looking for a great relationship? Pick up a copy of my book, The 20 Things You Need to Learn in Order to Find the Love of Your Life. Look me up on Amazon, Steve Sapato. God bless.
Yeah.